My name is Jerry Fungus from Section F, and I will discuss to you the inflammatory response second line of defense. Triggered when body tissues are injured, produces four cardinal signs, and redness, heat, swelling, pain results in a chain of events leading to protection and healing. Second line of defense, an inflammatory response begins when a pathogen stimulates an increased blood flow to infected area. Blood vessels in that area expand and white blood cells leak from the vessels to invade the infected tissue. These white blood cells, called phagocytes, engulf and destroy bacteria. And the function of the inflammatory response prevents spread of damaging agents, disposes of cell debris and pathogens, sets the stage of repair. Inflammation is the immune system response to harmful stimuli such as pathogens, damaged cells, toxic compounds, or irradiations, and acts by removing injurious stimuli and initiating the healing process. The inflammation is therefore a defense mechanism that is vital to health. Steps in the inflammatory response: injurious agents to cells damage, down-release kinins, histamine, and other chemicals through blood cell vessels, dilate, capillaries become leaky, neutrophils, and then monocytes and other WBS. To increase blood flow in the area, redness to heat, edema fluid in the tissue spaces to create a pain and swelling, clotting protein enter the area to neutrophils and monocytes and other WCBs enter the area, removal of damaged dead tissue cells and pathogens from area, and due to the fibrin barrier, possible temporary limitation joint movement, in the increased blood, redness and heat, bring more nutrients and oxygen to area, increase metabolic rate of tissue cells, and go to healing process. The inflammatory response has four phases: inflammatory inducers, infection or tissue damage; inflammatory sensors, mast cells and macrophages; inflammatory mediators, cytokines, chemokines, etc. And the tissues that are affected, each phase has many options that are triggered based on the type of pathogen. So the increase of blood flow into the area will cause the redness and heat and bring more nutrients and oxygen to the area, down to possible temporary limitation joint movement to healing process. And the next, antimicrobial chemicals complement a group of at least 20 plasma proteins activate when they encounter and attach to cells, complement fixation. The four agents destroy or prevent the growth of microorganisms. If possible, they organize antimicrobial drugs according to the microorganism in which they function. Primarily, antibiotics are used against bacteria. For instance, and antifungals against fungi are used. Action of the complement system against the bacteria and bacterium. Complement. Bacterium complements from the protein holes in the bacteria cells wall and brains. The fluids and salt holes allow fluids and salts to enter the bacterium. Bacterium expand until it bursts. Ang bacterium is masubraan mo and ma-expand mo na siyang expand of burst, mag-cause of mga klase-klase nga kon. The antimicrobial chemicals, interferon, secreted proteins of virus-infected cells bind to healthy cell surface to inhibit virus binding. Interferons are the family species specific proteins synthesized by eukaryotic cells in response to viruses and variety of natural and used the therapeutics term alpha, beta, and gamma. These peptides are used to treat hairy cell leukemia, AIDS-related Kaposis sarcoma, laryngeal papillomatosis, genital warts, and chronic granulomatous disease. Side effects include black territories, blood in the urine, confusion, and loose balance. Fever, abnormally high body temperature, hypothalamus heat regulation can be reset by pyrogens secreted by white blood cells. High temperature inhibit the release of iron and zinc from liver spleen needed by bacteria. Fever also increases the speed of tissue repair. So, normally, high body temperature mo na mag-cause of nga kalain sa hinaw or siya fever to increase, and fever also increase the speed of tissue repair. Mga katulotro yung klase sa hugaw. And specific defense, the immune system third line of defense, antigen specific, recognizes and acts against particular foreign substances. Systemic, not restricted to initial infection, has memory recognized and mounts a strong attack and previously encountered pathogens. Types of immunity: humoral immunity, antibody mediated immunity. Cells produce chemicals for defense. Cellular immunity, cells mediated immunity. Cells target virus and infected the cells. So, ang target sa mga virus, ang cells to go to mga infection, mag-cause of chemicals or mga unsa pa nga antibody mediated immunity. Antigens non-self, any substances capable of exciting the immune system and provoking an immune response. Example of common antigens: foreign proteins, nucleic acids, large carbohydrates, some lipids, bone grains, microorganisms. So, another one, we have a self-antigens. Human cells have many surface proteins or immune cells that can attack our own proteins. Our cells in another person's body can trigger an immune response because they are foreign, restricted donor for transport. So, our cells in another person body can trigger an immune system because they are foreign, or immune cells do not attack our own proteins. Manang ang human cells nasa klase nga surface sa mga proteins mo nang kwanta di kayo kan sa uban. Self-antigens. Human cells have many surface and proteins. Our immune cells do not attack our own proteins. Allergies. Many small molecules called haptens or incomplete antigens are not antigenic but linked up with our own proteins. The immune system may recognize and respond to a protein-hapten combination. The immune response is harmful rather than protective because it attacks our own cells. So many small molecules called haptens are incompatible but linked with their own proteins. So system may recognize and respond to protein hapten in combination. So then the repairs to tiny flakes. The skin cap. So nag-iwan tao nga magka-allergy sa cat dander. Isa what cause an allergic reaction, not the cat's fur. Some symptoms of an allergic reaction: hives, itching, swelling in the areas other than the sighting site, tightness in the chest, and difficult breathing. Yung sa ginhawa nga tingog, sagarat, swelling of the tongue, dizziness, and sharp drop in the blood pressure, and consciousness of kanang cardiac arrest. So cells of the immune system. Lymphocytes originally from hemocytoblast in the red bone marrow. B. Lymphocytes become immunocompetent in the bone marrow. T. Lymphocytes become immunocompetent in the thymosis. Macrophage arise from monocytes, become widely distributed in lymphoid organs. So activation of lymphocytes. Bone marrow immature lymphocytes and the circulation in the blood, thymus, bone marrow incompetent but still need lymphocytes migrate via blood. Lymph nodes and other lymphoid tissues. Okay, mature incompetent B and T cells recirculate blood and lymph. Lymphocytes tend to become the T cells migrate to the thymus and develop incompetence. Their B cells develop immunocompetence in the bone marrow. After leaving the thymus, the bone marrow is made and the cells hypocytes seed the infected connected tissues, especially hypoid tissues in the lymph, where their antigen challenge occurs until they become the fully activate mature lymphocytes circulate continuously in the bloodstream and lymph and throughout the lymphoid organs of the body. And that's all to my report to the anatomy